Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's me, JCreams14 here, back with week 4 of power rankings for the Owl. And just like last week, the rankings on your screen will be from week 3, and right now they will change over to week 4. So you can kind of see the shift. If you want to pause it and go back, you can kind of compare the two. But anyways, so just like last week, we'll be going in order from worst to first, team ranking 8 to team ranking number 1. And anyways, again this week I have Team LBC, Ladies Book Club, in at number 8. They went 1 and 2 this week, facing Team ARL, the Amber River Lilies. And anyways, the only one to pull out a win this week was Overachiever. He got a 1-0 versus Kenneth, so I'll be covering that battle first. Overall, it was a pretty good battle. Overachiever really hung in, and he fought until the end, and he was really hacked quite a bit by the Vulpix. The Vulpix flinched him with Extrasensory, crit him with Fire Blast, and there were 2 burns from Fire Blast, which I thought was crazy, and really didn't know why the Vulpix put in so much work, but Kenneth is the Vulpix master, so he did pretty well with that. But overall, I thought the Overachiever did pretty well. He was able to keep up with Kenneth and his strategies. And I did notice Kenneth switching out a little bit more, and Overachiever did call him on those and was able to pull out a win for his team this week. Other than that, not a whole lot, but good job to him. And moving on, we had the one guy versus Captain Sebasaur. I thought the one guy allowed his Volcanion to get dwindled down unnecessarily, and I do think that the Trick Room was a good idea, but Zygarde does not flourish in it, and he really couldn't execute the Trick Room to how he wanted, I guess. Sebasaur took advantage of the Trick Room with his slower Pokemon, and I think that's kind of what cost the one guy the win. His Trick Room strategy kind of backfired on him. Because the Sebasaur is a Araquanid, but I like the thought and I like the creativity. However, the execution just wasn't there, and that's why I got 3-0'd by Sebasaur. And the final battle of this match was Faticky versus Dr. Piplup, and poor Faticky got 6-0'd. He really under-prepped for this battle. Dr. Piplup really just sat there with his Politoed and Ferrothorn and just let Faticky beat himself. Piplup really didn't try to be offensive at all, and Faticky, this week he just had really bad execution, and he never brought his Stoutland out when the Sandstorm was up, which I thought was a kind of useless reason, and he really didn't utilize Stoutland for what it's used as a sand sweeper. But yeah, he didn't bring enough prep for the Ferrothorn and the Politoed, as they were able to just kind of sit there, and Faticky just kept switching unnecessarily. He tried to take down the Politoed with his Blissey, but it just didn't work out for him. He also tried to take down the Ferrothorn with his Blissey, which Blissey is not a physical wall, and big thing was the Leech Seed that kept on hitting Blissey. Since Blissey has such high HP, anything that came in and received that Leech Seed was going to get back a ton of health. Like I'm pretty sure that Piplup's Meloetta took back like 30% of its health from one Leech Seed. So yeah, I thought that Faticky really under-prepped for this match. I would have liked to see him bring the Komodo that he's been doing so well with in the past few weeks, but I guess he decided it wasn't worth it in the rain. But yeah, so anyways, that's going to be Faticky. And overall, LBC, just they didn't do enough to move up a spot this week. And yeah, just kind of a poor performance from them this week. But I'm sure they'll be bouncing back. And it looks like they face Team Slask next week. So I wouldn't count on bouncing back that week. But you know, we'll see. Anyways, we're gonna move on to number 7, which I have as Team Cacti. They consist of Toasty Rex, Socrates, and Ray Bragas, aka Nico. And so everybody played this week. I know that Sock has missed the past couple weeks, but anyways, Sock actually came out with a very big win against Luke. He 6-0'd him completely. And overall, Sock won in the prep phase. He had a Shed Shell Tentacruel, which was key for switching out of Luke's Gothitelle. And I don't think that he brought Dugtrio, but he also had Dugtrio in the back. Yeah, so I just thought that Sock did a great job of building basically an unbreakable wall core for Luke. Sock was really just able to switch around Luke's threats like the Gothitelle and the Blastoise and really keep momentum throughout the entire battle, and Luke was just always on the back leg and kind of got stuck in a rotation where he couldn't execute his moves. So anyways, Sock pretty much just backed him into a corner and held him there throughout the entire battle, so very well done to him. Next up was Toasty versus Metro, and overall I think Toasty played really well. He got 2-0'd, so it was pretty close, but I feel like he rushed his Scolipede setup, and just because I feel like if he had waited to bring in the Scolipede a little bit later, he could have picked up a kill and maybe gotten a Swords Dance up to really finish off young Metro. However, he came in early, took down the Uxie, I believe, with a Mega Horn, and then just got revenge killed real quick, and without really much of a fight after that. So overall, I think he needs to be a little bit more patient with his Scolipede. He had a good set on it, just wasn't able to execute it. And I was kind of confused why he stopped roaring with his Steelix. There's a phase where I think it was like for 4 or 5 turns, the Steelix was just locked against a Tangrowth where he really could have just roared it and continued roaring to get some Stealth Rock damage off on Metro's Pokemon, which I feel like would have really helped him in the late game. Metro didn't bring a whole lot of recovery, and so that Stealth Rock damage really would have added up and helped Toasty probably set up better with the Scolipede, or have a better opportunity to set up with Scolipede and really bring it to Metro. Yeah, so that'd be my critiques on Toasty and why he got 2-0'd this week. And the final battle of this match was Nico versus Haz. And anyways, Nico brought some creative sets. I did like the Reflect type Starmie to block the Amogus' Spore. However, it is a very situational set. It would have been really cool if he pulled it off. However, Haz was able to just he made the safe switches. He made some really good plays to play around Nico's creative sets. And I was really confused as to why Nico's Jolteon that had a Flame Orb was outsped by a Scarf Circuitry. In no universe should a Quick Feet Jolteon be outsped by Scarf Zerk, because Zerkatry's max speed is 291, and with 0 investment, Jolteon's speed is 296, and the Flame Orb would put him at 1.5 times speed. And so either Nico had the wrong ability on Jolteon, or he had a negative speed nature. That's the only possibility, and in no universe should you put a negative speed nature on Jolteon unless you're like trying to run Quick Attack or something, but it's not gonna work. So I feel like Nico's hyper offensive team just kind of backfired and wasn't able to get very much damage output on Haz this week. So yeah, kind of a confusing match. I did like some of Nico's creative sets this week. Yeah, just wasn't able to pull it off. But anyways, that's gonna be it for Team Cacti. They went 1-2 this week against Cloud9. And moving on to number 6, we had the Christmas Kids, consisting of Eevee Master, Dr. Slacking, and Fozzie Fox. Fox was the only one to pick up a win this week. He played Oscar. The Christmas Kids played TeamSlots, the number 1 ranked team, so pretty tough matchup. But yeah, Fox was able to pull out a win against Oscar. I feel like his Latios put on a lot of pressure against Oscar's team, and he got a really fortunate crit on the Clefable with a Cross Poison from the Drapion. So overall, Fox, he had quite a bit of momentum after that crit, and he was able to carry it through the rest of the match. The Clefable was setting up Cosmic Powers, so it was at +2 defense when the crit happened. And other than that, I really didn't see anything else on Fox's team that could have dealt with a Cosmic Power, Store Power, Clefable. So definitely fortunate for him, fortunate win. But yeah, so that's going to be it for Fozzie Fox. Moving on to Dr. Slacking. He played Stromfil this week, and I want to give him props for the Zen Mode Darmanitan. I think that's always a really cool set to bring, except it's probably one of the toughest sets to ever pull off. I've tried it a couple times and never really works out how you think it will. But anyways, Dr. Slacking really just played into Strom's hands these games. He just got predicted on just about everything, and because of that he got 5-0'd. He was able to take down one of Strom's Pokemon, but in the end it was kind of negligible. But yeah, so Dr. Slacking just overpowered this week by Stromfil. And finally we had Tracer taking the, we had Eevee Master losing to Tracer by 6-0. And so kind of unfortunate for Eevee, but Tracer basically just set up and swept. Like, Eevee just had really bad prep this week. He had 0 for setup, and I really don't know why he ice punched a Swords Dancing Doublade 3 times and allowed the Doublade to get to +6, and which then just proceeded to sweep his team. So I mean, I guess he was fishing for that 10% freeze, but that's never something that you should play off of. And so yeah, I'd say really bad prep for Eevee, and just wasn't able to do anything against Tracer's Doublade this week. So yeah, that's gonna be Christmas Kids. That's where they're at number 6. These were 3 teams weren't able to pull off a win this week. There was one other, and that was the Forecast. But yeah, so anyways, moving on to number, let's see, is that 5? Yeah, team number 5. I had ARL, Amber River Lilies. Let's see, they had, they consist of Dr. Piplup, Captain Sebasaur, and Kenneth. I already touched on this when I was talking about Ladies Book Club, but Dr. Piplup had a good showing this week. He 6-0'd Faticky. Not much to his credit though. He really built a great wall core though. I do want to give him credit for that. However, he was very passive this game, and he didn't even try to be offensive. Like, there was multiple times where he could have swapped into his Mega Swampert and really put in a ton of work with it. However, he just played the long game and let Faticky beat himself with weird sets. Like, I think Faticky flung a light ball at his at Piplup's Ferrothorn, which was gyro balling, and so yeah, I don't understand. But Piplup just sat there and won the game, so well done to him. It was quite a long battle to watch. And moving on was Captain Sebasaur versus the one guy. He pulled out a 3-0, and anyways, I feel like he did pretty well. Like I said before, he really took advantage of the one guy's strategy of Trick Room, and he played with his Araquanid really well. Took advantage of the good attack with the Water Bubble Liquidation combo, which is always really good for Araquanid. I just really thought that he executed well. He made good predictions, made good switches and everything, so well done to Captain Sebasaur this week. And the final battle was Kenneth versus Overachiever. This was quite a close battle. Like I said before, Kenneth got quite a bit of hacks from his Vulpix, like the extra sensory flinch, crit, and 2 burns on Fire Blast. One of them being on Salamence, which really could have put in more work if it hadn't been burned, but still picked up, I think, a kill or 2. So yeah, but anyways, Kenneth got taken down this week. I feel like he really missed a lot of his opportunities to switch into his Venusaur. Because, like, I don't know, he had the sun up, but he continued to output damage from his Vulpix, when I feel like it'd be more beneficial if he had swapped into Venusaur and gotten off a lot more damage. So I feel like missed opportunities kind of cost him this match. I feel like Heat Rock on Vulpix would have been a lot better, instead of trying to make it an offensive Vulpix with the Expert Belt, which I'm pretty sure he was carrying from the looks of the damage. But yeah, so I feel like he brought the Venusaur as kind of a second priority. His main priority was to try and make Vulpix look good, which he did. He did do, but it ended up costing him the match. So overall, that'd be my main critique of him. He lost because he didn't have Fake Out on his Lopunny, and I thought that was really bad prep. You should pretty much always carry Fake Out on Lope. I mean, just unless you're running like a Cosmic Power subset, which can be pretty cool. But yeah, so I don't know why he didn't have Fake Out. But other than that, I thought that he did a good job of hazard stacking and really punished Overachiever every time he switched out. So well done from Kenneth there. But anyways, moving on to number 4 in my rankings, I have the Forecast. They were previously number 2. And anyways, they had kind of a rough week this week. Tangela Boots pulled through as always. He got a 5-0 against Hazzy. Really well done from him. I thought that he had a really clutch prep move and going with knockoff on the Scissor. It really answered a lot of what Haz wanted to do and gave Scissor really good coverage. Overall, I thought that Boots played Scissor very well this game, and other than that, he stopped the Dual Dance Thunderous in its tracks with the Toxic, and that really is what won him the game, because that thing was definitely a huge threat for against Boots' team. But he was able to get the Toxic on that and stall it out until it died. So well done there. And overall, he pretty much just outplayed and overpowered Haz, and that's what led him to earn a 5-0 this week. Moving on to Scout versus Cav. It was a pretty good match. I feel like Scout did really well in prep with her berries. I like the Tenga Berry on Hoopa Unbound, which was able to eat up a Bug-type hit and get off a heavy hit on that Pokemon. So well done there. And she also carried a Chople Berry on Cradilly, which I believe stopped a high jump kick, or didn't stop it, but like decreased the damage in it so that Cradilly could live another turn. So I really did like the berry prep from Scout. So well done there. But I do feel like a Toxic Protect Recover set may have been a little bit better on Cradilly for this match. I know it's really hard to kind of see that far into the prep, but overall I feel like the Cradilly set was good, but if it had the Protect, then it could have protected from the high jump kick, and that opposing Pokemon could have taken 50%. So while I do like the Chople Berry, I feel like Protect would have been a better route. And yeah, overall she played pretty well and didn't get beaten too bad this week. It was a 2-0 for Cav, and Team Skola is next on my list, so I'll be going over their play next. But finishing out this match for the Forecast was Blake Trout versus Coach Oak, and I think it's funny that Blake tried the Rest Sleep Talk on Spiritomb again. Calm Mind Rest Sleep Talk. This time he did take my advice and not go with a weak move like Snarl. He went with Dark Pulse. However, just didn't have the coverage that he needed for the opposing team, and he pretty much tried to force the setup every time he brought it in. And I feel like he really plays well with Spiritomb as a support role, not so much a sweeper role. Like we saw the other week, he made really good predictions with Will-O-Wisp. I believe he was facing Luke. So yeah, he played really well then. But I feel like whenever he tries to go with the sweeper Spiritomb, it kind of backfires on him and leads to a defeat. And so, yet again, didn't work out for him. But I do think that the Dark Pulse was better than Snarl. However, it did allow Coach Oak to swap to whatever he wanted in this game, which pretty much gave him momentum and gave him the win. So Blake lost by a differential of 2, and overall the Forecast lost the week, but actually had positive differential, so not a complete loss for them. They still are in the top 5 for power rankings. So anyways, or the top 4 I mean. Moving on to Team Skull, the team that actually took down the Forecast this week, and why they're higher than the Forecast. Starting out, I'll go over Haz's battle with Boots. I feel like his team was really bulky, and there really wasn't a whole lot of damage output that he could do to Boots, other than his Thunderous set, but he got Toxic and it really wasn't able to put in as much work as he wanted it to. His team was also really slow. It didn't have the best speed control or or speed tiers on it, which really allowed Boots to get off a ton of damage on his team, and overall just kind of led to him being overpowered by Boots' more offensive team. So yeah, just I don't know. I think Hez needs to be a little bit more balanced in terms of his attacking and defensive Pokemon. But yeah, so he just got overpowered this week. And moving on to Cav versus Scout. I thought Cav played really well. He had great predictions, and he stayed in the game till the end. And he played for the late game, which was really well done on his end. And he played very well with Vikavolt. He put in a lot of work with that thing, and even though it was really slow, he was able to eat up a few hits and really fire back hard against Scout's team and punch a lot of holes in it. I believe that it took down our Suicune, which was really key, and overall that Vikavolt work led to Cav's victory, so well done from him. And finally, we had Coach Oak against Blake Trout, and I feel like Coach Oak is continually playing really well with Charizard. He's really identifying the situations and where it needs to come in, even if it takes Stealth Rock damage. He's got a plan for it and utilizes it in the best positions. And he puts on really good pressure with it as well. I feel like he had great damage output this game, and I absolutely loved the Trevenant set. That is my favorite 6th gen Pokemon, Trevenant, and the Substitute, Protect, Leech Seed, and Phantom Force were perfect with his first win of the season. So well done from Coach Oak. I hope to see that Trevenant set more in the future. However, it does kind of allow sub setup, so he does have to be careful with that, as if he tries to Leech Seed on a sub, and then he'll have to wait 2 turns to break that sub with Phantom Force, which really isn't going to put him in the best position. So definitely be aware of that. And I don't know if Phantom Force goes through sub. It might, but if it goes through and his Trevenant's killed, then that Pokemon, the setup Pokemon on the opposing side, still has setup and still has a sub, so could definitely cause him problems. So definitely be aware of that. Otherwise, I really did like this set. So well done from him on his first win of the season, and that is why Team Skull is back at number 3. Moving on, we have Clout9 at number 2. They picked up a win this week, despite Luke getting swept by Sock. I'll go over that one first. Luke got 6-0'd. However, he was really put in a bind because of Sock's prep. So like I said before, Sock really just won the battle in the prep phase with his Shed Shell team. And other than that, like, Luke really just got stuck in the same rotation, I guess. Sock's Tentacruel would set up a T-Spike, Blastoise would come in, take some poison damage, and then Rapid Spin it away. And until he swapped out into his Gothitelle, which tried to go for a Psychic on the Tentacruel, but then Hippowdon came in and then threatened the Gothitelle out, and back into Blastoise. And so Sock was really able to just whittle down Luke's walls, and from there it was pretty easy for him. And yeah, I think this rotation happened about like 3 or 4 times, so Luke was really just caught in a trap, and even though he had Shadow Tag, I feel like he relied on that too much this game. Shed Shell is a great item, and Sock really does know how to use that. I've faced him with it personally, and yeah, he's definitely a very solid prepper. So Luke really just got overpowered by Sock's Unbreakable Wall Core and wasn't able to break through. So that's why Luke got swept. Let's see, moving on to Young Metro versus Toasty. I feel like Metro had a really good first turn damage. I believe that he clicked Scald with his Manaphy on a taunting Steelix, and so that was a good play not to go for first turn setup and just get off some good damage, because that Steelix was quite a pain in the later battle for him. And once he sent in the Aerodactyl against Toasty's Tornadus, he pretty much won the battle because he backed Toasty into a corner. I believe they both had 3 Pokemon left at this point. And so yeah, he really played the late game well and pulled out a solid win. So good job to Young Metro. And the final match was between Haz and Nico. And despite Nico's interesting sets, Haz was able to take advantage of Nico's hyper offense, and he hit him really hard with powerful moves, and overall just really overpowered Nico. And again, I really don't know why his circuitry outsped Nico's quick feet Jolteon, or supposedly quick feet Jolteon. But yeah, so I feel like that really played into his win as well. So well done from Has, seeing through Nico's sets and taking advantage. So overall, that is why Cloud9 is at number 2. They're really solid, and they have the same differential as Team Skull. However, overall, throughout the season, I feel like they've played better than them, but that could definitely change in the future. And moving on to number 1, the all-time number 1 that has not changed yet is Team Slask. They played the Christmas Kids this week, and yeah, started off with Tracer sweeping Eevee with a Doublade, and pretty much this battle, not a whole lot to say, except Tracer just got in a favorable matchup against the Choice Band and Metacam, and who is ice punching his Doublade, and Doublade set up to +6 and proceeded to sweep his team. So it's well done from Tracer identifying that situation and taking full advantage of it, and pulling out a very solid win. And next up was Stromp versus Dr. Slacking. Stromp got really creative with his Gardevoir set, and he identified what Slacking would bring to counter his Mega Gardevoir, and then he countered the counter. If that makes any sense. He was able to really reverse the tables on Dr. Slacking, and really pulled out a great win and played incredibly well with that Mega Gardevoir. So well done to Stromp. And the final battle was between Oscar and Fozzie Fox. I feel like Oscar probably would have won this with a setup Clef if he hadn't gotten crit by a cross poison from the opposing Drapion. However, I feel like Oscar played pretty well, but once the Clef went down, he just kind of fell apart, and he didn't really, I don't know, he didn't really have a plan after that. He played really bad with his Rotom, and he allowed Tapu Fini to kill it, and let Type Null take a ton of damage that I felt was pretty unnecessary. I feel like the Type Null and the Rotom could have really taken it to the Tapu Fini, but once they both went down, the Fini was pretty much uncontested. And yeah, so Oscar just needs to kind of look at his Mons and look at the opposing Mons and which ones he needs to keep alive for different situations. Other than that, pretty good win from Team Slask this week. Still have incredible differential and probably won't be moving from that top spot anytime soon. But anyways, that's going to be the power rankings for week number 4 of the Owl. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you tune in for next week. See you later.